Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It is so good to see you guys today. Today's topic is gonna tie into a video that got such good feedback for all the beautiful black women that reached out to me and told me that they felt like seen and how seeing their experience felt good. I even had someone, little sister, tell me that I was a role model, so it felt really special to me. So today I'm gonna tie that video with this topic of today, which is that authenticity as a black woman is your biggest strength. I cannot stress this enough, and it's harder said than done, because again, if you watch my previous video, you would know that confidence as a black woman is a very hard thing to obtain, especially if you didn't grow up in an environment that really fed life into you. It is very hard to believe that you are worth anything. There was an interview that had recently gone by, and I mentioned it on my channel as well. It was by Joey Badass, that said our counterparts have this this little trampoline to life. They already got a head start. And then for us is not only are we going backwards, we have to fetch backwards in order to move forward, because you gotta reinstall and relearn a lot of the things that people around you, your environment has done for you. And a lot of it doesn't come because it's usually from the people closest to you, so your family members, your mom, your dad, your auntie. And I don't think they mean any harm, but it's just that's how they were raised, so they're just raising you with the knowledge that they now have, which is not the best knowledge, because then you go into this world thinking that your counterpart are superior than you, when in the whole time it's just you guys are just as equal, and this is just as fair. So the reason why I brought up authenticity, because this whole journey of confidence for me was newly found. It wasn't something that I've been had. As much as in the other video I did stress that it was reinforced at home, it still was not enough, because I'm battling with outside voices, and I'm also hearing two different opinions, different opinions from inside my home. So it was after I left my parents' house and I moved in for college, and I left the country and I moved to another country for university. And that was when I found what it felt like to work towards confidence. And it was a very scary step. There were things that I didn't feel like I should do as a whole. Let me back up. There was things that I thought I couldn't do as a whole, because they're not in my bracket, they're not in my area. I would take myself out of things that I didn't need to take myself out of, because I immediately would eliminate myself just to protect my emotions. And so I remember that when I started having this kind of carefree type of personality after an emotional event after my life, that's usually when you start clicking two and two together. And after that emotional event, it was a breakup, if y'all were wondering, but I started to not care. And not care in a, oh my God, I don't care what they got to say about me. It was just a more playful, I don't care of oh, I'm just going to do me, and whoever want to gravitate towards me, they'll gravitate. And if they don't, then they don't. And it's out of my hands, I was already at a point in my life as well when all of this was happening, in a mental state where I just kept telling myself that I just no longer wanted to prove myself to anybody, and I didn't want to find people or anything like that. After though that emotional breakthrough, I did wanted to find people, but I wanted to find genuine people, and usually genuine people are attached to authenticity. I'm sorry guys. And I started seeing the power in being myself, because people who had my traits, or people that think like me, or people that acted like me, or people that had this like openness and freshness to them, and this like, you know, not afraid to be quirky, because I wasn't a bad bitch. I don't know, that was not the that's not what I was. And I still think that I am not. Like, I really do believe that I'm a beautiful and pretty girl, but I'm still that quirky black girl from middle school that cracks weird jokes for no reason, and has these like stimming things, and I say the weirdest things, and I'm overly blunt, and, you know, anything you could think of, like the Issa Rays, you know? And I started noticing that the more I became authentic, the more people started gravitating towards me naturally. It wasn't even let me try to fit into this box, or let me try to match what they got going on so I could feel accepted. It was more of whoever is for me will gravitate towards me. And that authenticity brought me a group of people. I mean, when I tell you a group of people, I am so grateful for the people that I have here today, because these were people that met me when I was at my rawest form. Like, I was really just being me. And it felt good. And it feels great, because once you start being yourself and you see that people gravitate towards you because you're unapologetically yourself, you don't feel this need or the heaviness. Because I know this is very common as black women, because I've even seen my mom do this. It's like playing this like role. And it takes a toll on you. It gets heavy, because it's not you. You're having to get into this acting roles. You're learning your lines. You're memorizing your face changes and all of that. Like, this is not Hollywood, okay? But you'll start doing that in order to fit in. And I found myself doing that like when I was in high school as well. Like the whole Velcro style that was going on at the time, with the little white tee and the little blue jeans and a high Converse. And it's like, girl, that's not for you, okay? But at the time, you couldn't tell me anything better, you know? And which now leads up to today. Again, I say in all my videos, I'm 25, so now my frontal lobe has fully developed, honey. But when I was in my early 20s, I would say like 21, 22, 23, 24 even, I started experiencing an identity crisis. Now, I never thought this was something that would happen to me, to be quite honest, but it's very easy to fall into it. And I started falling into the whole propaganda of like things that I was hearing on social media and all of that stuff. And I kept on telling myself, like, maybe my personality is too loud. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm too ratchet. Maybe I'm too ghetto. You know, like maybe I take up too much space and people aren't taking me serious. I'm not gravitating towards the right people, perhaps. When I say that, I'm talking about my romantic life. I'm not talking about my friends, but my romantic life. And I kept on telling and assuming that, you know, maybe people were reading me wrong because of the way that I was presenting myself, which at the time was just being organically myself. Like, if I had something to say, obviously there's a time and a place for everything, guys, okay? But I always had a piece of my authentic self. My teachers would tell you, I've never hid my personality. It was always something that was always forefront. And even when it was diluted back, you still had a feel that my personality was definitely still the foundation of what I was doing. And so authenticity got me opportunities that I don't even think that faking would have got me, to be very honest. And it was one of my greatest power, but I unfortunately started to doubt it because another emotional event happened in my life around that time. And I just kept on, you know, throwing the ball at me, like maybe like it's my fault. Like, I need to dial it down. I need to present myself differently. I need to move differently. I went through that for almost like a year. And I kept telling my friends around me, like, I really need to dial this back. I really need to dial this back. And none of them could understand why it was I was so caught up on dialing my personality back, because that is literally why they became friends with me. And I think it took my best friend sitting with me and telling me, like, I even had this conversation with my significant other, and we were even talking about how, you have so much power from, your voice, and how you being this like energized, quirky person that cracks jokes all the time, that's really loud, that's just herself all the time, is literally what make people love you so much. And I would be lying if I told you guys that after that one talk, I like took her advice. I was in denial, honey. I was like, girl, no, I need to completely cut it out. And it's so hard to cut your authentic self out. So kudos to the people that had to do it, and not under willing circumstances, but that had to do it. But it's a very, very hard thing to do. I honestly had a lot of trouble shutting myself out or dimming myself down. It's not something that's like an easy thing to do. And it wasn't until last year, 2025, that beginning of that year, I completely fell out of thinking like that. And I was like, I just cannot continue like trying to fake this whole, soft girl aesthetic, for instance. Like, I couldn't continue faking it. Like, I couldn't continue acting like I was this like proper individual, very soft-spoken. I'm not soft-spoken. I'm so sorry. I'm not soft-spoken. So it was extremely hard to play that role for like a year. Mind you, like, I've always been super expressive, whether it's like in my voice, whether it's in my hair. It's so hard to dilute yourself back. And I know a lot of like Black women who are going to hear this know what I'm talking about. Like, it's very hard to not show up as yourself. But unfortunately, in the world that we live in, sometimes you really do need to cut yourself out in order to, fit into this bracket. You see it all the time when you go to jobs that like have you code switch. Code switch is not the problem. It's the fact that you have to have this whole new persona sometime in order to be respected. And the higher the corporate, usually the higher the impact on how bad you gotta fake it. So that was one of the realization that I had in 2025, that authenticity just kept on bringing me like the right people. Even in my love life, every time I was playing a role that I wasn't being, I attracted the wrong partners. Every single time, without fault. And every time I was like, oh my God, why did I allow this person in? Well, I was selling a version of myself that didn't even really exist. So they fell for that. And then the dynamic kind of fell out when that persona wasn't being maintained, And I started thinking to myself, like, being authentic is the highest vibration you can have about yourself. It's like knowing yourself to a level where you can no longer hide. And it's an extremely hard journey. It took a lot of shadow work, a lot of journaling in order for me to get to this point in my life. But I'm happy that I'm at that point. I'm sorry if you guys could hear that. My housemate just came back. But I'm forever grateful for the journey that I had to take in order to get to where I needed to go, because without that, I just wouldn't have been the person that I am today. Like, this whole even YouTube thing took a while for me to get, open to it, because I just had this fear of being seen, because I just thought that I didn't deserve to be seen. Like, I just would rather be behind the scene all the time. And if my friends could testify for this, I was big on always like, oh, I don't mind being behind the scene. And you build this comfort. It's not even like pity me. It was just like I'm good where I am right now. And it was them that actually like pushed me to, expose myself and publicize myself on bigger platforms. And I got to meet beautiful women through that video that I made of, them going through similar experiences that I have gone through. So it's very humbling, and I'm very grateful to have, met so many beautiful Black women that are telling me their experience, and even Black men who are coming into the comments praising the Black women. So it's such a grateful experience, but it's a very tedious journey in order to get to this point. So But that is the topic for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I hope that you guys like this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And send this video to someone that you feel like should hear this. And if that person is you, then send it to yourself. Okay? I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, my loves.